computer.
How you everyone do it, Dave? I just recorded a computer.
Okay. I just put it on mine. Be easier.
You want us to record it to the cloud?
No, I'm recording it to my computer. I just overrode.
Oh, you're recording. Oh, good. I ain't got to do nothing.
There you go.
I'll go home then.
Yep.
All right. Now sit back and quit interrupting me. I'm just kidding. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Queen City Toastmasters, the September 12th, 2023 meeting. I am Cameron Hamrick, your Sergeant at Arms. Did anybody get a chance to watch football over the weekend? It is back officially. Who'd you pull for, Kendall? Don't say Panthers. Oh, come on, anyway. Lions had a good game. No, they won. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm an avid Dallas Cowboys fan. I have been since 1993. And Sunday night, if you didn't witness, we beat the Giants down 40-0. This week, Dallas will host the New York Jets. Unfortunately, we won't get to host the great Aaron Rodgers because he tore his Achilles. But I did see an interview with him with Aaron Andrews. You know, there's a show called Hard Knocks. It's on HBO. Anybody ever seen it? So they follow one team every year. And this year they followed the Jets. And he was making a point that it allowed everybody to get to see the real Aaron Rodgers. And he wasn't faking anything. He was his true self. And he had a quote that I liked in that interview that I wanted to share with you. It's, if you want to be first liked and then respected, you'll get neither. You have to first ask for that respect. And then maybe they like you, maybe they don't, but at least they'll have your respect. So that's Aaron Rodgers' mantra as he walks into the locker room, into the huddle. He earned all those guys respect. And in turn, later, they liked him. But if you are one of them people like me who is trying to be a people pleaser and always get people to like you, you don't necessarily get people's respect. So first seek to get respect and then seek to be liked. So I thought that was very cool, and I wanted to share it with you tonight. So, all right, I'm done talking for a little bit. So to kick us off next, please help us welcome our presiding officer, Gandalf the Grey, Dr. Eric Laxer.
Thank you, Toastmaster Cameron. Good evening, everybody. We are delighted that everybody has made it to our meeting tonight. For those of you who are guests, we are particularly excited that you are here to join us. And if you have never been to a Toastmasters meeting, people who come up here will all explain what their roles are. And so as presiding officer, my responsibility is to do several things. The first is to give our guests a chance to introduce themselves, because you will get to know who we are and we want to get to know who you are. So I'm going to walk around the room. I'm going to start over here. And when I come over, just if you can stand up and let us know your name, how you found us, and anything else you want to share about us would be fine. By the way, you may have said this already, this microphone doesn't go to the speakers. Yes, I will. This microphone just goes to our Zoom people, so you won't hear anything. And also, in case you need snacks, they're back there. In case you need the restrooms, ladies is over this way, men's over that way. We don't take any credit for the quality of the restrooms, but we just, if you need them, they're there. So I'm going to come around this way and we'll give our guests a chance to introduce themselves.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rockney Bryant. What brought me out here today, I want to build my leadership skills and advance in my career, and then also in my small business endeavors. So I'm glad to be here, and I really enjoy this so far.
Thank you. I see a familiar face here. Miriam, if you would please do the same.
Hi, my name is Miriam, and I'm here to learn how to give a wedding toast at a wedding in a couple months. So hopefully y'all can help me with that.
Hey everyone, my name's Graham. I was in Toastmasters in 2020 for about 6 months, and I just moved back to Charlotte, so looking to get back into it.
Hello, my name is Cameron Smith. I am currently a senior at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, majoring in business management, and I'm here for a class today, and I'm interested to see what this provides me.
Hey everyone, my name is Alex. I'm also at UNC Charlotte as a senior, and I'm here for a class as well in managerial communications. This is my first time. I'm just kind of trying to feel out what's going on and what I can learn from it.
Hi everyone, I'm Tanishi. I'm a freshman studying biology at the University of Miami. My dad was the one who introduced me to Toastmasters. He did it a couple years ago in California, and he'd been pushing me to do it for a couple months now, so I thought I'd bite the bullet, and I'm really excited to be here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alex. This is actually my second Toastmasters, and I decided to return because I thought it was a good opportunity to help improve my speaking skills to eventually help me progress in my career.
Great. Thank you all. You will actually get an opportunity to speak if you want to a little further during the meeting, and then once again at the end. One of the ways that Toastmasters allows us to improve our public speaking skills is by following a curriculum called Pathways. And if you join Toastmasters, you will greatly benefit from the content in Pathways. And as we complete Pathways, we celebrate achievements. And so I'm excited to share with the group that 2 of our members have recently completed a Pathways. Jamie completed level 2 in presentation mastery, and Elvis completed level 1 in strategic relationships. Can I ask both of you guys to just stand up so we know who you are, and everybody give them a big round of applause. Great. So we like to let our guests know that we identify as a welcoming group. Some people you see coming up here may be doing certain roles for the first time. And we're all here to learn together, to grow together, and to help each other out. And I hope you'll see that throughout the course of the meeting. One of the roles that we have each week is somebody called the Toastmaster of the Day. I'm the Toastmaster of the Day this week. We sign up for those roles. And the Toastmaster usually picks a theme. And we either speak about the theme or we encourage other members to add comments to the theme. And as you may have seen on our website, the theme I chose today was back to school, because this is the time of year when people start going back to school. And every year around this time, it reminds me of my own experiences growing up as a kid. And for some people, they love back to school time. My wife was one of those people. When back to school time would come around, she'd go shopping with her mom. She'd buy pencils and pens, crayons. She'd buy writing books. She'd put her name and her phone number, and she'd personalize them by making art. And she would look forward to going to school every day. She was a great student. She would do her homework. She did really well in school. I was the complete opposite. I just didn't get it. Either I hated school or school hated me. And it took me until my junior year in high school to realize, oh, if you do your homework, you actually can do better on the exam, which probably explains why I got a 33% in my high school 9th grade chemistry final grade, which my parents were not very proud of. And I was always kind of acting out in class or going to the principal's office. And in hindsight, it's amazing how long it took me personally to figure out what you got to do to succeed in school. So as I introduce people, as you come up, I'm going to give you the opportunity to either share something about your own school experiences, or maybe a funny story, or something you did or wish you would have done related to being in school. So that's pretty easy. So there are several people who participate in running the meeting, and I'd like to start off by introducing the first person who will be assisting me in that role. Please join me in welcoming Elvis, who will be giving us an inspirational thought.
Thank you, Mr. Pastor. I'm delighted to be sharing with you these inspirational thoughts. As I looked at the theme for today, I started thinking about what would be interesting to share. And I was around the concept of, well, knowledge. Knowledge is power. Let me see what I can find. And I stumbled upon a piece of content that was so interesting, but I believed so much that I didn't want to leave anything out. So I'm going to read it to you because it was almost poetic. In the vast tapestry of life, knowledge serves as the radiant thread that weaves through the fabric of our existence. It is the beacon that illuminates our path, the key that unlocks the doors of possibility, and the compass that guides us through the uncharted territories of ambitions. Knowledge empowers us to transcend boundaries, conquer obstacles, and transform our world. In the pursuit of knowledge, we not only discover the boundless potential within ourselves, but also unlock the capacity to effect profound change, making it abundantly clear that indeed knowledge is the most potent force, the true source of power, and the catalyst for a brighter future. Let's make it a habit to learn something new every day and unlock our fullest potential. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Elvis. I neglected to say Elvis is our immediate past president and our current VP of Education. If you have any pathways question, he's the person to ask. The second person I'd like to introduce who will be helping us run this meeting is one of our newer members. He is our grammarian. Please join me in welcoming Toastmaster Martin. And when you're done, if you have a story about school you want to share, please feel free.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, Toastmaster Dr. Eric. Welcome, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Today, my name is Martin, and today I have the honor of being the grammarian for tonight. Now, what is the grammarian and what is my role? Without taking too much time, what I'm going to be doing as people come up here, I'm going to be keeping track of any filler words that are going to be used. Filler words, for example, so, you know. Now, why do we want to, so that's first off, and then second, I'm going to introduce the word of the day, and keeping in theme with the theme for tonight, the word of the day is opportunity. Now, I see back to school, whoops, obviously my first time doing this. There we go. So obviously back to school is an opportunity for kids, for teachers to learn new stuff, to fulfill their purpose, to educate themselves so they can make a greater impact in their daily lives and as they grow up and get older. Now, you may be wondering, why is eliminating filler words so important? I'll give you two reasons. First off, filler words can undermine your credibility as it makes you seem less prepared and knowledgeable about the topic or conversation or whatever you're talking about. Second of all, by eliminating filler words, you're able to deliver your message more effectively. It doesn't distract your audience from your core message. Now, I'll share a quick personal story of how I have found this to be true. A couple months ago, I started working in sales, and obviously, I'm learning a new industry, and obviously, I'm using filler words right now. But early on, I didn't really know what I'm talking about, and I used a lot of filler words in order to kind of give myself time to think about what I'm going to say next. Now, about a month ago, I kind of realized that this is a big problem for myself, and if I want to become super successful and communicate my message effectively, and I have to get rid of these. So it's something that I'm focusing on personally. And safe to say, if I'm still using filler words, maybe 6 to 12 months down the road, the clients are not going to listen to me as they should. Now, why is the word of the day important? Well, it gives you an opportunity to practice incorporating newly learned ideas or concepts into your conversations. So let's say you meet someone. I'll give you a real life example really quick. Let's say you meet someone for the first time and they tell you a personal story. You know, their daughter, they go to the University of Miami, for example. Well, it gives you a chance to practice the fact, or a chance to practice incorporating that into the conversation to show that you are listening to them and you're able to connect with them a little bit better that way. So that's all for me. As people come up here, I'm going to keep track of any filler words for myself as well. And then at the end, I'll give a brief report. Thank you so much. Cool school story. Let me think. I'll come back. Yeah, give me some time to think about it.
Okay, you've heard of high tech. This is low tech, but it still works. So another important part of speaking is keeping on time. And we allocate certain amount of time for each section or each speaker in our meeting. And in order to give people feedback, we always have a timer who times us and tells us at the end how well we did. So he's going to explain his role. Please join me in welcoming Sebastian Urani.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sebastian. As Eric just mentioned, today I have the opportunity to serve as our timer, one of our more simple and straightforward roles, but as Eric just mentioned, a very important one to help people make sure that they're staying on track and that they're speaking for the allotted amount of time that they should speak for, right? So during each section of the meeting, of which there are 3, there's a set amount of time that folks should speak for, and I'll go through what those set amounts of time are. But when a speaker hits their minimum amount of time, the first thing I'll do is I will hold up the green folder. Once a speaker is about halfway through their allotted amount of time, I will hold up the yellow folder. And then once a speaker hits the end of their allotted time, I will hold up the ever so ominous red folder. To quickly run through, so it's really that straightforward. At the end of the meeting, I'll give a readout, just like our grammarian, of how everyone did, whether they spoke a little bit too short or right in the sweet spot, or might have gone a little bit over. So everyone will get that feedback. And just to share quickly what those allotted amounts of time are for each section of today's meeting. Speeches, which go first, usually run about 5 to 7 minutes. Andrea, I think, is our only speech for today, and we're giving you 8 to 10. So a bit of an exception there, but I'll make sure to account for that. Table topics, which is the opportunity for guests and non-members to come up and do some impromptu speaking, have 1 to 2 minutes to speak for. And then lastly, our evaluators will come up and give feedback on everyone who spoke during today's meeting. So that is my role as timer. As far as a story from school, I don't know, this isn't like the happiest of stories, but it's one that's very prominent in my mind. When I was in 5th grade, we were out, playing, doing fun stuff on the field. I got tabletopped. Anyone remember tabletopping? Someone like gets on their hands and knees behind you and pushes you over. I don't know, stupid thing the kids did. Maybe it doesn't happen out here, but I actually broke my arm. So I was like in the middle of the field and I looked at my arm and it was like totally crooked as a 5th grader. Not for fun. Again, not the happiest of stories, but prominent in my mind.
Thank you. Sorry that happened to you. I hope you had a really good orthopedic surgeon who took care of you. So this brings us to an important section of our evening, which are the formal prepared speeches. I mentioned our pathways earlier, and the speeches are usually given by people who are working to accomplish a certain level of pathway. Our speaker this evening is Andrea Williams. She is working on level 5 in dynamic leadership, which is the highest level you can achieve in a pathway, which means she's close to finishing her pathway. We're very excited to hear her speech tonight, which is titled, Put a Ring on It. Please join me in giving a really warm, encouraging, loud welcome to Toastmaster Andrea.
Thank you, Toastmaster Eric. Thank you for that Warm welcome today, everyone. I am so happy to be here. Today, I was asked to just help you in your personal development as you are transitioning in your housing. And so I thank you for allowing me to come and just impart some wisdom to you today. And since we're not going to get this to speak, we're going to leave that alone. We might get the music a little later. I love bringing music into my presentations, and it just gets everybody excited. So who knows a Beyonce song, Put a Ring on It? I figured everybody would know it. It's not one of my favorites, not because I don't like Beyonce. I just don't like the song. As a single person, they play it at every wedding I go to. And when I hear it, it just makes my skin crawl. So, but the song is a cute song. And, you know, if you like it, put a ring on it, right? I was thinking about that as I was developing my speech for today. And my speech for today is based off of this book, The Game of Life. And in The Game of Life, the boys just go outside the box and they just think outside the box. And so I was thinking about this, you know, put a ring on it. And I was thinking about this little toy right here. How many of you had this toy when you were younger, or your kids play with it now? Good, so did I. And they actually gave me this toy. And speaking of going back to school, I was a nerd. So I loved going back to school. I don't think I ever was out of school. Like, I was out of school, but I was one of those kids that read 100 books during the summer. So yeah, I'm sure you could figure that out. And so this is how the rings, you saw how the rings go, right? Goes from the largest to the smallest. Not ironic that I kept this one in my hand. Which one would you put on first? How many would put the largest on first? Can someone count for me how many that was? $14. So it's safely to say that most people would put the largest on first. What if we put the smallest on first? How do you feel about that? Anybody? It's utter chaos. And then I put the largest. What if? More chaos? So if I just start putting them the way I want to put them, did I pass? No, someone said no. How many people say no? About the same amount of people who told me to put the first one on, the biggest one on first. You can go to the next slide. So my story about this little toy was they gave me this toy as an IQ test. Of course, because I was a nerd, I did just like you guys told me. You can keep going. I did just like you told me. Put the first one on first. Stop. Okay, stop right there. So if you look at the arrangement, the rings, they represent different things. So, and go to the next slide. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs, he always talks about putting things first. And what you have to achieve, what people usually have to achieve first before they can achieve the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So ironically, he agreed with most of you. Now, he agreed that this big one right here should go on first, because those are your psychological needs. Do you know what he defined? Anyone knows what he defines as psychological needs? Yes. Right. Now, if I gotta achieve this first, how am I gonna get it without, let's say, the next need, which is safety, which includes a job? Doesn't make sense, does it? And then, let me see. Now, I'm worried about food, shelter, jobs, and all this other stuff, but I forgot about my family. So I'm putting it on the way you guys told me, the largest to the smallest, right? I just want you to keep thinking about that. So now I got my family, I got my shelter, I got all this stuff together, but I have no self-esteem. Because I had to get all this stuff first. So we wonder why so many of our children are bogged down on Instagram and trying to keep up with the Joneses, as we used to say when I was younger. Of course, I'm old. So they are always trying to achieve this impossible dream, this impossible lifestyle. So right now we have young people who are trying to achieve this, and they have none of this. How many people have been in that state? How many people have tried to get houses and land and jobs and all this other stuff without even believing that you could? That was me. Or how many of you took care of everybody and everything else? Then you started, and that's often what happens. We drop our dreams and we drop our needs, our wants, because we're taking care of everything and everybody else. It's not ironic that they gave them that toy, because they gave me this toy. And guess what they said? Because I could put it in this correct order. I'm intelligent. Actually, I bought this toy today, and you know what this toy said? It helps our children with critical thinking and problem solving. What problem are they solving? What problems are you solving? If you're taking care of everything and everybody else first, what problem are you truly solving? So today I want you to open up your mind to put a ring on it. Find the ring, take the golden ring. And ironically with this, and I did not set this up, trust me, I did not go through the store and say, I'm gonna find the one that represented self-esteem and it was gonna be yellow, but it's golden, the golden ring. You have to first, this is my order. This is just my order. And I'm not saying that you have to achieve this level of understanding or thinking. And maybe you don't think like this, but I feel that before I can achieve any of these other wonderful things that are on this wonderful board, I have to have self-esteem. I have to believe that I'm worthy. You have to believe that you're worthy. Because otherwise, you're gonna fulfill what everybody believes you should do. You're gonna start at the largest thing, the biggest bling. That's what we do, right? They say only 10%, I'm sure you heard the top 10% are the richest people in the world, right? They always say the top 10, the top 10, the top 10. Well, why is it only 2% of the people, are actually following their dreams? So that means that top 10% that achieved this big ring, they're not happy. They don't have self-esteem. They surely may not even be following their dreams. They surely are most likely not taking care of themselves. But what they are doing, houses and land, jobs, family, everybody else around them is happy. What if our rings look like this? I know it's an uncomfortable spot to sit in, but some of you are young. You're under 18 and you have your mother and your father looking up to them, or you may be in college like some of our visitors are today. Someone else is taking care of the bills. It's your time to put a ring on it. It's your time to think about what's most important in your life and how you're going to achieve it. Now, this is not to say that having a roof over your head is not important. This is not to say that having a job is not important. It is not to say that having a family and people that care about you are important, are not important. But I want you to remember that you are too. So if you like it, put a ring on it. Because in the book of life, in the game of life, there are key players, and you're my key player today. There are rules. Some rules are meant to be broken, but you need to know what those rules are so that you can have or create a strategy to win at the game of life. If you liked anything that I said today, if you wanted to learn more about what I said today, please come see me at the table. I can sign you up. We do have a new student journal that's out, and it is to help our children. It's a student journal, so it's for teens and above, and it gives you the opportunity to learn and grow your mind so that when you put your rings in order, they're your order and not the order that society gives you. Thank you. Well, I kind of shared it. So in school, I was a nerd. And so they kept trying to promote me, and my mom wouldn't let them, which I was like yelling at her, but now I'm glad that I got to experience each grade in school. But they would say I was extremely intelligent because I could put things in order. I could put the round peg in the round hole and the square peg in the square hole. And I could ask questions that other people wouldn't, like why? Well, if there is a God, well, who created God? So I was that little kid that I got on teachers' nerves. They would tell me. And so my favorite story in school was one of my teachers told me there were no Black scientists, because I kept asking her, why are we not learning about Black scientists? And she told me it was no Black scientists. She said, well, if you can bring me a list of 10, I'll give you an A for the rest of the year. I brought her 100. She didn't know I had the Black encyclopedias at home. Sometimes we have to just speak up as key. We have to allow our children to speak, because it says from the mouths of babes, and usually in mouths of babes, they will speak the truth. That's why I love working with kids. So that's what I do. And that is my favorite moment of being a child, being able to speak my truth.
Fantastic. Thank you, Andrea. That was super. You're on double duty here. Sometimes I feel like doing that exact thing with my phone. So the next section of our meeting is called Table Topics. As you'll see, Table Topics is the part of the meeting where we invite people up and we give them an opportunity to speak in an impromptu fashion, which is a skill that's very important to have, because you never know when you might be called upon to do so in school or other areas of your life. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to our Toastmaster who will be leading this section of the meeting, Kendall Rackley.
Thank you, Toastmaster Eric. Good evening, Toastmasters and honored guests. So I have a question for you all. What was the most anxiety-inducing moment in being in a classroom? Anybody? Being picked to call and answer a question, randomly, especially. If I was in a class that I was comfortable in, that I knew the subject, that I had an A in or at least a high B, I had no issues with, being called on. But if it was like AP US history, then you would have thought that I didn't have no hands, because I'm just down here the whole time. But this is one of the most difficult parts of being in school, for a lot of people, is improvisation. And so that's what the Table Topics is for tonight, is to practice improvisation, practice thinking on your feet. And so improvisation kind of improves 4 different skills. Those skills are listening, thinking, organizing, and delivering your thoughts. So that's the opportunity for everybody here to attempt that, So this is the only period of the night that new folks have the opportunity, using the word of the day, have the opportunity to come up and speak outside of the introductions. So who would like to volunteer first? Oh, dang. Okay, man right here.
Thank you, Kendall.
First time doing this. Can you choose a number between 1 and 9? 7? Oh boy, okay. It's my favorite question. So I would consider myself in high school, I consider myself a nerd. I was always reading something. I was, kind of a loner too, because I was always kind of by myself, and then I started playing sports. So I kind of transformed a little bit as I kind of went through those phases. But if you had to stereotype yourself as a typical high school student, what would you be and why? So I'm talking like if you had to put yourself into a box of jock, nerd, loner, rebel, slacker, class clown, prep, band geek, overachiever, chess kid, theater kid, what would you categorize yourself and why?
Thank you, Kendall. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to come before you guys. It's been a while since I've been here. I've been a Toastmaster for a couple of months now, but had to take a little bit of a hiatus due to work commitments, contract that I'm working and such. But to answer your question, I cannot say that I would be categorized into one specific thing. I think I was a couple of things, but mostly a jock, mostly a class clown, mostly a slacker. And yeah, those were my basic roles in high school. I've been a terrible student. You'd never think that I'd go to college and earn 2 collegiate degrees if you knew me in high school. I was there for girls and lifting weights and football, really, if I have to be perfectly honest. But it was in college when I realized the true value of education. Education is enlightenment. Make no mistake of it. Going through this world without an education is like going through a dark cave without any light. It's hard to see. You're going to hit your head a lot more. And so, in contrast to what I was like in high school, I've become a lifelong learner. I find myself trying to learn new things constantly. And my latest passion is public speaking and learning how to present ideas, concepts, and such. That's about it. That's all I got for you guys today.
All right, thank you, Milton. Appreciate that. Do we have any other volunteers? All right, back. What's your name, sis? Totlin. Totlin. Okay. Hi, Totlin. Is this your first time here at Toastmasters? It is? Okay. Okay. Nice. Can you choose a number between 1 and 9? Not 7. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. So 4th grade was like my peak year, right? 4th grade, I had my I was the cool kid, I had my group of friends, like I was making A's all over the place. I was that guy in 4th grade. And then it just went downhill from there. But but what was your favorite grade throughout school and why? Oh, yeah.
Oh, somebody's listening? Okay. Because I wasn't hearing from the mic back there. Yeah, all right. Thank you, Mr. Topics Master. I enjoyed every single grade of my school life. Unlike my friend here, I enjoyed learning. I wasn't there for the girls or the boys. I went to an all-girl high school. My high school started at 7th grade. And I thoroughly enjoyed 7th grade because it means that I switched over from 6th grade. It was a completely new school. And in 7th grade, I got to do something that I've always wanted to do, which is play in theater. So I did my first role in theater at a high school, 7th grade. It was so exciting. I was filled with nerves. But here's what I enjoy. I enjoy the rehearsals because you had to learn the script. You had to memorize the script. No wonder I end up in doing public speaking because you got to remember your lines. You have to remember when to say what. So that helped me get over being shy as a 7th grader. So that absolutely was my best year in school, quickly followed by my 11th grade year, because that's when I graduated. So I got to graduate, moved on to my 12th grade year, enjoyed the rest of my life, and now I'm here. Mr. Topics Master.
Thank you so much for that. Appreciate that, Tilton. Who else would like to go? Hey, right here. Jackie. Hey, Jackie. Pick a number between 1 and 9, not 3 or 7. Too late. Too bad, yeah. It was close. He shot his up real quick.
We'll go with number 1.
Number 1. It's a good answer. Good answer. So August, 25th? That's typically around the time you go back to school. My favorite part of going back to school was getting my fit ready the night before. And I would lay it down like it was me on the bed. I'd have my pants, I'd iron them, put the crease in them, have my shirt creased, well, not creased. I have it clean, sharp, had my shoes at the bottom where my pants were. Like it was a whole thing. I couldn't sleep the whole night because I wanted everybody to see what I was wearing. What was your favorite part of back to school and why?
Thank you. Well, it was not the outfit because I went to Catholic school from pre-K to high school. So yeah, didn't have a lot of chances there, but I was one of those people that loved going to Office Depot, getting the crayons, the pens, my little packet to put them all in. And I just loved being prepared because when you look good, you feel good, right? So I had that same mindset. But other than that, I guess socks were fun, right? That's pretty much the only way we could express ourselves with our uniforms. And you could choose between khakis and skorts. So skorts was always my go-to because you could show off the socks, like I said. Really exciting stuff, I know. But did enjoy Catholic school, learned a lot about Jesus. If anyone has any questions after this, let me know. And let's see, I mean, thank you. The day before, I don't know. And obviously I would say number 1 before those 2 exciting things were always seeing my friends and seeing if we had the same classes together. And because friends are the best, and that's what got me through high school. And then soccer. I played soccer and always enjoyed going to practice. Not really, but it was still fun. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you. I'm sorry that you did not have the opportunity to express yourself, but now, hey, we can do whatever we want now. We're adults. Who else would like to volunteer? Oh, I think I saw my man right here first. What's your name, my guy? Justin. Okay. All right, Justin. Yes. Yes. All right, Justin. Pick a number between 1 and 9, not 1, 3, or 7. 6. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. All right. 11th grade was 4th grade was my highlight. 11th grade was like, I don't know, valley, I guess. Yeah, it was rough. I was not doing very good. I had taken a bunch of classes that I didn't really like that were very difficult. And I was also trying to run track, and I was also just stressed out from everything happening in life. So that was kind of like my low year. That was my least favorite year because I just had a lot of things going on. What was your least favorite grade and why? Hopefully not anything too depressing.
All good. Thank you all for the opportunity to speak. Thank you, Toastmaster Kendall. Great question. So for me, similarly enough, we actually have similar stories. I was also a track runner in high school. Didn't really hit my stride until I was a junior. So that was probably my favorite year, but my least favorite year was my freshman year because the way our school was set up, it was essentially 6th grade through 8th grade and then 9th through 11th. And then there was a separate school for seniors. So it was really set up weird. I went to school in Pocono Mountain, Pennsylvania. So my least favorite was freshman year because I didn't know what to expect. I knew there was going to be a lot of older kids there. I knew there was going to be no one I knew, especially because the year before that I spent in Hawaii. So my mom was a traveling nurse and she got the opportunity to go to Hawaii and take the whole family with her. And it was a great opportunity, but it did remove me from all the people that I knew at the school. So I was going into the school without knowing anyone, and I was incredibly nervous. So I have to say freshman year for sure was my least favorite year to start off with. And I already have high anxiety as a, as a kid, it's translated over to an adult. So it didn't help my anxiety at all. I really didn't know anyone. I didn't know any clubs. So I just kind of immersed myself in things and tried to do the best I could with what I had. And it turned out to be a really good experience. I didn't get bullied. It wasn't like I saw on all those Disney Channel shows about how people get bullied and put in dumpsters and Freshman Friday. So needless to say, that was my worst year, but it was up from there. So thank you.
Right. Thank you, Toastmaster Justin. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, really similar stories. 9th grade, well, 10th grade, I switched from Olympic High School to Myers Park. And that was a big adjustment for me as well, because it's like going from, Compton to Bel Air. It was a big change. But I enjoyed Myers Park. It was a good school. Big culture change for me. But I learned a lot. All right. Do we have time for one more? We do? Okay. All right. Any others? Hey, right there. All right. What's your name, guy? Graham. Okay, Graham. All right. Pick a number 1 through 9, not 1, 3, 7, or wait, 6.
Let's do
8. All right. Oh, okay. That's a good one. So I used to skateboard when I was in high school. I was okay. I wasn't really good, but I would dress like I was the guy, right? I'd have on my Laxers or like my Vans or something. I'd have like the jeans with the rip in them. I had like the shirt with the skates. I was looking like it, right? But how would you describe your dress in high school? Did you have like well, I don't know how you describe it, but I want to say like, kind of preppy, or maybe like, I don't know. I don't want to get too much into stereotypes, but like, I guess what was like your typical dress in high school? Did it change? What did it start from, like 9th grade, 12th grade? What was it like in high school?
Okay. Quick question. What do the colors represent again?
Yep, so green is the interior mineral laptop.
Okay.
1 minute, and then yellow is 1.5 minutes, and red is 2.
Okay. Well, an opportunity to tell a cringy story. I thought I was really cool in middle school, to like wear an American Eagle shirt. Thought I was like super high status, having that tucked in on the first day. Didn't matter what was on it, just as long as it's an American Eagle. But I grew out of that phase. And in high school, I would categorize my dress as eclectic. Maybe a little preppy, but maybe nerdy. Usually metal band t-shirts or ironic graphic tees, but with Sperry's or something. So it was kind of a weird combo. A little bit jockish too. I played some sports, so wearing a jersey or a Letterman's jacket. Well, I didn't actually wear a Letterman's jacket, just kidding. And yeah, I think the late 2000s were a weird time for fashion. So kind of soaked all that in, but thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Yeah, as I was writing this, I was like, yeah, that'd be a good one. And I'm like, dang, how will, is that like a 1 minute, 2 minute conversation? But thank you, Toastmaster Graham. Do we have one more? Okay. Anybody else? All right, let's go. From the last meeting. What's your name again? Tom. That's right, Tom. All right. 1, 3, 6, 7, 8. Anything outside of that? 2. Okay. Who is your favorite teacher throughout your school years? Your most favorite teacher and why?
That's a tough one. I didn't really like school. I'd say my favorite teacher was my 3rd grade English teacher. He was just really cool, always coming up with like fun lessons. Like he would put together this like custom sheet for every single class, like a schedule for every single class, which I really liked because I really like being organized about things. And it would just have like an activity, like a word of the day, like here's what we're opening class with, here's what we're doing in the middle, here's what we're doing afterwards. I really liked it. Honestly, I don't have a lot more to say. Like I said, I didn't really enjoy school that much, but we stayed in contact. We became friends on Facebook. And when I was like graduated high school, he hit me up and he was just like, hey, congratulations. By the way, like, is there anything that you remember about being in my class? And I was like, yeah, I really enjoyed that daily sheet thing that you did. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you. One more? We're good? Oh, okay. All right. So since Eric wanted us to all come up with a story. So when I was in school, like elementary school, and it's a good story, I guess. When I was in elementary school, I was really big into spelling bee. So I was like that overachiever, bordering on teacher's pet kind of kid when I was in elementary school. But I love the spelling bee. Every year I was like, yeah. I mean, that's all kind of like it's all kind of in there. But yeah, like every year I was in the spelling bee. I was asking, hey, when is the spelling bee starting? So I usually won in my class, but every year I would always like get knocked out in the school spelling bee. So my 8th grade year, that was when I won my class spelling bee, my school spelling bee, and I actually won it for all of Charlotte-Mecklenburg. So that was in 8th grade. And I was pretty excited because I was like, yeah, I'm about to go to nationals. I'm about to win the whole thing. And then I ended up going to regionals, which is kind of like states. And it was a very, very different level. Those kids knew like etymologies of the words and all they knew the definitions, and I barely knew how to pronounce it. So I did end up losing. I don't remember the word that I lost on, but it was pretty rough after that, but I did, kind of appreciate the opportunity to win, for the city. And that was back in what, 05, I think. So yeah, some memory from school.
We got to add that to your Toastmaster bio that you were the Charlotte Spelling Bee champion. So a very important part of how we learn is through feedback. Doesn't matter whether you're doing public speaking, you're in school, or any other endeavor in your life. And so the next part of our meeting is where we provide feedback through evaluations of our speakers. Please join me in welcoming our general evaluator, Toastmaster Yasmin.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. My name is Yasmin. Please don't mind my rain boots. It didn't actually rain yet, so I kind of felt silly, but just bear with me. So today I'm going to be evaluating the meeting as a whole. But before we do that, I am going to share my little school story. I will start by saying I didn't realize until today that me and Kendall have beef because I went to Ardrey Kell, go Knights. So yeah, he's gonna have to go. Like, he can't be here anymore. But yeah, they would, if you ever driven past Ardrey Kell High School, it is a cement square. It looks like a jail. So Myers Park would love to come to our games chained together in jumpsuits because our school looked like a jail. It was acceptable at the time, but I'm gonna look back. I'm gonna look back at the games and see, because I don't know. But yeah, so we're not friends anymore. But aside from that, I really thought about, I was like, I have a few stories I can share about school. And I decided to go the non-scholarly route and share a very embarrassing but funny story about when I was in elementary school. I will start the story by saying she was okay. So we'll start there, just to preface that. So I was a very stubborn child who grew into a very stubborn adult. I'm still very stubborn. But my brother taught me how to ride my bike when I was in about third grade. And we lived around the corner from the school. So I really wanted to ride my bike to school. My brother was like, you really shouldn't. He was a grade above me, so we rode together. He's like, you really shouldn't. And I was like, I'm going to do it anyway. So we ride our bikes around the corner to school. We have to get off to walk it across where the crossing guard is, of course, get to the other side. For some reason, when we get out of school and we get to the crosswalk, I decide I'm not getting off my bike. I'm going to ride it across the walkway. And I hit the crossing guard with my bike. And it was the most mortifying thing that ever happened. She was fine. But yeah, I threw the bike down, ran home crying. And to this day, my brother, who is 30 years old, a husband and a father, if anyone mentions anything about a bicycle, I try not to look at him, because if I do, he's looking back at me like this. So that's my story from school. But all that to say, I'm just going to go ahead and invite up our first evaluator, Jamie Richardson, who will evaluate Andrea's speech.
Thank you, Miss Madam General Evaluator. School story? School story. So I went to a Montessori school from age 2 to age 14. And not like the Montessori schools around here in Charlotte that are basically public schools that have a Montessori curriculum. Mine was basically a hippie version of a Montessori school. There were 12 people in my entire class for like 4 grades, something like that. And if you haven't been part of a Montessori school before, it's all about teaching kids to value learning and to, accomplish things. Like, so our tasks were sweeping, or like figuring out how to take care of an animal. That was part of class. It's just learning life skills and taking joy in good work. Eventually, though, you start to think, well, I'm good at everything, and people just value what I like to say about stuff. And then I got to high school, and I went to a public high school with 2,000 people. And my very first English teacher, her name is Miss Davis, I remember it vividly. the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Instead of everything being open and open to interpretation, whatever I want to do, it was you cannot write anything that uses a to be verb. You cannot say is, you cannot say are, you cannot say am. And my first paper, I'm 14 years old. I haven't cried in years, bawling, like completely covered in red. It was devastating, but it was a good lesson learned in terms of starting to think in a completely different way in terms of how I've been brought up until that point. All right, individual evaluations. Andrea, as always, I enjoy your speeches. The imagery that you bring to your speeches is always fantastic. I'm going to provide my feedback on 3 dimensions as usual: content, structure, and delivery. I'll start with the things that I thought were particularly good. You asked me to focus on engaging the audience and also on staying on message. So engaging the audience right out of the gate, the visual aid was fantastic in terms of getting us to think differently about that as a metaphor for focusing on our own priorities and focusing on the things that we find valuable about our self-esteem. So reframing how we think about Maslow's hierarchy, I thought was really effective. Lots of audience participation throughout the speech. So bringing people in, asking questions, getting people to provide feedback on some of the key messages that you were wanting to resonate with. All very good. Structure, I thought the hierarchy itself was an effective structure to highlight the focus on esteem over other interests or other needs as well. You did a good job of transitioning that as well. So some of the contrast of, well, if you don't focus first on esteem, then it doesn't matter if you've got a house. Doesn't matter if you have a job. Doesn't matter if you have a family. I thought that was particularly effective device that you used throughout the speech. And that's okay. You had a really core message throughout, which is that's okay. Focusing on self-esteem first and above all else, that doesn't make you selfish. Doesn't mean that you're not focused on other priorities as well, but it allows you to be more content and successful in accomplishing and targeting those other things in your life. From a delivery perspective, as always, great eye contact, great improvisational style. That's one of your core strengths. You just kind of go with it, and wherever your language takes you and whatever story and message that you want to convey really comes out very effectively. So fantastic job. That's one of the things I want to steal from you, actually. I also liked, last thing on the good stuff, you had a couple of things where it dropped, right? And you wove that into the speech. It's like, here I am dropping my esteem, right? You made it part of the speech and it really brought it together. So fantastic job on all that. 2 things that I think are opportunities for you to potentially be more effective on in this particular speech. You used the toy, and I think it's a really powerful message. In fact, I would lean into it more than using the slides. Going back and forth was a little confusing, a little jarring in terms of the core message. I think you can start with just laying out and just take the group through Maslow's hierarchy. First ring, here's what it is. Second ring, here's what it is. At the end, this is what society tells us is the order that we have to follow to be able to get to self-esteem, to self-actualization, et cetera. So I would just lean into that even more potentially, and then come back at the end and use that if you want to convey some key messages on the slides. The only other thing is, as you're using the toy, sometimes you were turning away from the audience. So I don't know what the space setup will be in the speeches you're delivering, but if you can put it front and center and make it something that allows you to engage all the audience, I think that would be more effective next time as well. Overall, fantastic job as always. Look forward to the next one. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jamie. I don't know about you guys, but I'm also a very auditory person. So the sound of the rings like hitting each other when she dropped them was music to my ears. So I just want to add that in because I love that. Next up, we are going to invite Toastmaster Sebastian Arani to give us a timers report.
Thank you, Toastmaster Yasmin. I will keep this pretty brief. My timers report, overall, everyone did a great job. I think everyone was right in the sweet spot of your allotted amount of time. Andrea, you were 4 seconds over. We can discount those. I think you were right on the mark. All of our table topic speakers, for one, kudos to everyone for coming up here, giving it a go. That's what I've done 80% of the times that I've been in the Toastmaster meetings, is just take advantage of table topics and each time I do it. It's just getting those reps in. I feel like it's a really helpful exercise to go through. And everyone, you were right in between 1 to 2 minutes. So good job. Kudos to the group. And then lastly, Jamie, I started you a little bit late, so I guesstimated you at about 2:55, still in the sweet spot, I think. But again, overall, good job, everyone, staying in your time limits. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sebastian. So next, I'm just going to give my overall evaluation of the meeting as a whole. One thing I love about Toastmasters meetings is we really never know how the meeting is going to flow. Of course, we know what's going to happen from a scheduling standpoint, but today I really enjoyed the meeting. Cameron kicked us off with his special brand of charisma and humor that he always offers, so that brought a really good energy into the room. And then I just feel like the meeting today was very seamless and structured. It didn't feel rushed at all. While we also had a really good mix of more experienced members, newer members, and guests all speaking. So that was really nice. And I love that when table topics came up, like hands shot up. I was like, oh, this is nice. So that was really great just to see the excitement, the energy. I feel today is calm, but it's also excited and engaged. So I'm very happy with that. And then finally, I would say that the scholastic piece of the meeting gave an opportunity. Go ahead and put my name down for people who use the word of the day right there. Thanks. Gave it really this air of like youthfulness and nostalgia, but also like growth and evolution. Like this is who I was, this is who I am, and just kind of a peek into people's life in the past. So I don't know, it just made me feel all warm inside. So I really enjoyed that about the meeting today. And then with that being said, I am going to invite up our grammarian, Martin Griswa, to tell us about all the filler words that I used today. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Toastmaster Yasmin. So just like Sebastian, I'll keep it nice and brief. Filler words first. Everybody except for Tatle used filler words, including myself. So maybe it's not the main thing we want to focus on, but it's just something to keep in mind as we progress through our experience level, and the better we get, maybe something we want to focus on later down the road for stuff, obviously, maybe your tone coming up here, confidence, stuff like that. So kudos to you. Justin, also want to give credit to you, only had one filler word, which is great. Everybody else had a couple. The ums were especially prevalent. We had a couple likes in there that were thrown in there unnecessarily. So just something to keep an eye on and keep in mind. Next up, we have, how often did we use the word of the day, opportunity? Here I'll go by name. Sebastian used it one time. Thank you very much. Kendall, you did a fantastic job. Threw it in there about 4 or 5 times, which is awesome. Milton as well. Of course, I couldn't forget Yasmin after she almost made it very obvious for me. Justin twice, Graham one time. And lastly, we had Jamie also throw it in there one time. So yeah, that's the grammarian's report. And I guess really briefly, my school story. So I know you mentioned, what were you known as in school? And I guess from grade 5 to grade 8, for 4 years, I was known as French fry. And I'll tell you why. So in Canada, we have 2 official languages. We have English and we have French. So by law, by whatever, by the curriculum, everyone has to learn French from grade 4 to grade 9. Now, I was in a specialized program where it's called extended French from grade 5 to 8, half your day is in French. So we had that special kids in that program, and then kids, doing the regular program. So there's always a big divide between, even though we went to the same school, didn't go to separate schools, went to the same school, there's a big divide between the kids that took French and the guys that took English. So I was known as a French fry, and the English were known as the English muffins. So yeah, that's a funny story. So with that, Yasmin, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Martin. I know you're from Toronto, and I actually learned last week from one of my Canadian counterparts that people who are from there say Toronto, not Toronto. So I learned to take the second T out. So whenever I go there, I can act like like I've been doing this, So yeah. But that's all from me. So I will turn the meeting back over to the Toastmaster of the day, Dr. Eric Laxer.
Thank you so much, Yasmin, and all of our evaluators. One of the things we really try to do at every meeting is give anybody who comes an opportunity to speak. So I'm usually keeping track of who had an opportunity and who did not. And so most of the guests have had a chance to speak. If you came late and didn't, then you will shortly. But I also want to invite our past president, who's our only person who is online, David, and who also is one of our district trios. He is the club growth director within our district, which is really a pretty cool position because we have over 80 clubs and more in our district. So David, I'm going to ask you if you can share one of your school stories with us, or anything else you'd like to add would be great.
Yes. Thank you, Eric, Mr. Toastmaster. I'm thinking back to 10th grade. I moved around a lot. I was born and raised in Miami and the Florida Keys, and always had normal houses. Well, in 10th grade, I ended up in Alachua, where my dad had to go for a job, and it's just outside of Gainesville. And I got into a group that wanted to skip school. So I wanted to be cool. We skipped school. Now, this was back in the 1980s. So we're hanging out at my friend's house, and the principal actually comes looking for us because Mike Merlo was one of the guys I was with. They knew him, and they knew where he lived, and he came looking for us. And they all said hide. To me, that meant run and hide. So I ran to the back of the trailer. He lived in a trailer, and I didn't realize that trailers made a lot of noise when you run through them. And therefore, the principal knew we were there, and we were busted, and we had to clean the school and sweep. So that was back in the 80s when they made you do actual labor. So that's my school story.
What a nightmare. The principal comes looking for you. That's never happened to me. So we're going to end with going to allow our guests to share a few words, and I'll come around the room this time, and basically about 30 seconds, just what you thought of the meeting and the experience, and anything else you want to add. So I'm going to start over here with Alex.
Going with the theme of the meeting, I actually had a little short school story that I wanted to share. So I don't know how it was at your high schools, but at my high schools, you do a group class presentation. You get to the end, the teacher asks any questions, and you're usually up there just hoping no one asks anything. And the majority of the time, no one says anything. But I made it my habit, especially when it was my friends up there, where I take notes the whole presentation. And as soon as it came to the end, I'd give the hardest question possible. So really put them on the spot, made them sweat a little bit up there. So I thought that was a little bit relevant to today.
I had a really good time. I learned a lot about Maslow's hierarchy, body language, grammar, filler words, and yeah, definitely starting to build some of that confidence. So I would say successful meeting.
All right, hello again. I really enjoyed this meeting. It was very engaging and friendly. No one was like ever, I don't know, whenever you public speak, everyone's just kind of staring at you and you're just staring back at them, and it's really awkward. It didn't really feel that way here, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, same like her. I really enjoyed this meeting. It was exciting to see different topics being said rather than like in school. Some of them kind of boring. You get to express yourself more here, and I really appreciate that.
You. I thought it was all right. I didn't really like the topic, to be honest with you, but I think everybody who talked did a pretty good job. Also, I chose a really bad spot, and I can barely hear anything because of this this thing back here.
Enjoyed it. I'm glad to be back in Toastmasters. Kind of remember the contrast between being super nervous and then once you get up there, when you kind of get through that initial wave of anxiety, you feel a lot better about it. And looking forward to getting to meet y'all, and I'll definitely be back. Thanks.
I thought it was a really good meeting. I feel like this is an opportunity for me to go back to school right now, and that my speech teacher from college is probably pretty disappointed. I don't remember his 4S strategy. The only thing I remember about it is that on the final exam, he asked if we should get it tattooed on our arm, and I probably should have.
Thank you so much. The meeting, I'm glad to see that there's such a good turnout because I know all Toastmasters clubs struggled during the pandemic. So to be able to be here physically to attend an event is really good. One recommendation, it would be great if whoever is up there, we could hear back here. I lost half of the meeting. So I'd love to see that differently this time. Otherwise, I'm happy that the meeting is here and live. Thank you.
Good evening. Overall, I feel that I've learned and gained a considerable amount of knowledge. And like I said, I feel like this meeting is very good for me and for everyone. So I've really enjoyed myself. So, and I'll be back again.
Yeah, thank you all again. This has been a great experience for me. I've learned a lot just in terms of the filler words that I know I use at work. I'm not used to presenting in front of a audience at all because I work virtually. So I'm used to seeing the little name on the bottom of the Zoom screen and knowing how to address people. So this has been a great experience. I've learned a lot. I look forward to doing it again. Thank you.
I just want to thank everybody for the great stories that were shared, and just looking to keep coming again and again as a guest until it starts to sink in. I really appreciate everything that this group does.
Thank you all. We have just a couple of housekeeping items, and I'm standing beside Jamie, our treasurer. So I'm going to ask him to speak for a moment about our club dues.
Hey, everybody again. So this is a reminder mainly for our members that we are at the point where we're paying for our next installment of semi-annual dues. So I sent out an email on August 27th, and it had all the information that you need in terms of what it'll take to renew. That's for the period beginning on October 1st. And again, just a quick reminder that the dues went up $5, so from $75 to $80. So just make sure you pay attention to that. So if you haven't yet, again, use this as an opportunity, invest in yourself, invest in the club. This participation, right, doesn't happen unless we each come each and every week. It'll be due on September 22nd, so we have a little bit of time, but if you have any questions, reach out to me. I'm happy to answer them. And otherwise, I hope to hear from you all soon.
Thank you, Jamie, and thank you to all of our guests who have spoken quite beautifully this evening, as well as all of our members. And I just want to remind our guests that if you want to see how the meeting went or see how you did, often how we perceive we speak and how we come across to other people is vastly different, and it's usually much better than we think. You can go to our YouTube channel. You look up Queen City Toastmasters on YouTube. You can pull up our channel, and you can watch this meeting probably later tonight or tomorrow. We have a few openings for next week, so please, members, go up and sign up for roles, and also please update your bios so we can have them on our Meet Our Members page. And I want to end with a quote from somebody named Amy Poehler, who some of you may know from Saturday Night Live, and she's been on other things. But I came across this that I really thought was a good reflection of all of us being here tonight, and hopefully more of us in the future. Find a group of people who challenge and inspire you. Spend a lot of time with them, and it will change your life. And that's what we do here. So with that, I will call tonight's wonderful meeting to a close, and I thank you all for joining us and look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday.